Happy Valentine's Day. Hi, I'm excited. Really excited to do this because it's Valentine's Day, heart for you. And I love all my readers and I love all my subscribers to my channel and my Facebook page. So welcome. First things first, let's start with the most important thing. I hope you're enjoying today. I hope you're spending today with the people you love or doing something you love or both, because that's great. And I know it's going to be late for some of you, especially my subscribers in Nigeria, but don't worry, this promotion goes on through February and March. So first of all, I have this nice little setup here. I'm not sure if you can see my roses and my books and everything. I'm going to be talking about favorite books or books that I love because in the spirit of love and Valentine's Day. So I have a giveaway. I'm so excited to talk about this giveaway because I really appreciate my readers and subscribers and people that have supported me. So guess what I have? I mean, who doesn't like a good mug? You know, a good mug for a cup of tea, coffee, or whatever, or even to keep your pencils in, my writers out there. Well, this is a perfect girl mug, yes, if you're not tired of the perfect girl. You soon will be. Anyway, this is a mug. It's really cool. I love it. I have one for myself as well. It has the book on the cover and on the mug, and on the inside it's pink. Who doesn't love pink? I love pink. So here's the deal. I love my readers and I love that my readers love my work, but I need to know that you love my work. So if you go and leave me a review on Amazon, I'm going to be doing giveaways, random giveaways, and it's computer generated. And so since I can't ship these lovely mugs, unfortunately, outside of the country, it will cost way too much and will probably break before it gets there. These will be available for my US readers only, but not to worry. My Nigerian readers, if you can get to Calabar, Abuja, or Victoria Island in Lagos, you can get a free copy, hard copy, print copy of The Perfect Girl. Or if you have a Kindle and you prefer, you would get a Kindle copy of The Perfect Girl. So that's what I'll do for my readers outside the country, and not only Nigeria but also the UK or whatever. But I realize that my readers are concentrated in 3 continents: Africa, Europe, America. So so the American readers can get one person can get the mug, another person can get a signed copy of the book, and then so 2 prizes for US readers, and then one person in Nigeria, if you're in Abuja or Lagos or Calabar or can get to those places, would get a copy of my book or a Kindle, or the value of a Kindle copy of my book. And same with my UK readers, can get the value of a Kindle copy of my book, or Canadian readers if you're chosen. So here's what you have to do. Just obviously leave me a review on Amazon. Of course, I'd need to see, proof of purchase to make sure you've actually read the book before you leave the review. That would be nice. So yeah, so leave me a review on Amazon and then your name will be entered into the raffle draw. I will have 2 raffle draws because I understand that a lot of my readers, especially those in Nigeria and otherwise, are yet to receive the book, or maybe have just received the book and may not have had time to read it. So I'm having 2. One raffle draw will be at the end of February, so February 28th or 29th, and the next one will be at the end of March. And so we'll have 3 prizes, 3 or 4 prizes in all, but definitely 1 in each continent that I just mentioned. So look at this. Look at this mug. Don't you love it? I love it. Look at this. How cute is that? Anyway, I'm really excited about that. Okay, let's put that away. Now I'm talking about books I love. Oh my God. How many of you just love a good book? I love books so much, and I love to read. I've always loved to read. I started my love affair with books pretty early on. So I'm just going to talk. I mean, it was so hard for me to pick just one. I mean, not one, just a few of them. I wanted to pick like 50 because I was like, oh, I don't want to leave this out. I love this book, but I realized I can't talk. I mean, the video will be how many hours long? Sorry, I'm trying to put on my Kindle. Trying to figure. Definitely cannot rank them. Oh no, I just realized. Well, I don't have a lot of books on my Kindle because I actually prefer to read in print. But I just realized that one of my favorite authors that I downloaded to my Kindle did not download, but instead she's on my Kindle app on my phone, which is a helpful tip. Those of you that don't have Kindles, if you have an iPhone or iPad or whatever, you can download it to your phone. So I don't know if you can see this. Can you see it? It's so hard to get this on camera. Okay. Can you see it? Well, the glare. Anyway, this is my beloved Alice Walker. Oh, you know what? Let me start with my Nigerian books. First. Okay. All right. We have my African books. Chinua Achebe. Things Fall Apart. Listen, I know everyone says that it may seem trite or whatever, but hey, it is what it is. Good writing is good writing. He's one of my favorites. I mean, I can't say enough about Chinua Achebe. What I did when I came to the States, they made us read these books in high school, and we used to complain about, we don't really get it. I mean, maybe I complained or whatever, but I secretly loved it because I'm an undercover nerd. I just loved his writing, and I really got it. His imagery was just so great. I'd never read anything like this. I was reading Harlequins and Mills and Boons, and so this was just a whole new world. And I did not grow up in Igbo land. I grew up in Cross River State or whatever. So this was, it was tantalizing to look into what was and what used to be in the history of my people. It was just so great. So I really connected with Things Fall Apart. And if you haven't read Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart or any of his books, but this is my personal favorite. It's really great. Even the ending, the things he managed to talk about were just so great. Chinua Achebe. Okay. I do have, and I lent it to someone, and when I do remember who I lent it to, you're going to be in so much trouble, buddy. I think I have an idea. Cyprian Quincy, People of the City. Now listen, to me that book was just ahead of its time. It was just, about high life and Lagos and Enugu and, what the how Nigeria was with the entrance of the ideology of the West was just so great. I was like, yeah, this was the beginning of Afropolitanness, but it was different in that we were so proud to be Nigerians and so proud to be the melding, so proud of the melding of these two cultures, and there were people who had come back from wherever they were to come to Nigeria to build this nation or whatever. I just loved it, and I love the backstories. I mean, there's just not one story, but just the different story. People of the City. Actually, one of my stories in my book, The Perfect Girl, the hawker. No, not the hawker. The prostitute. Actually, I kind of, now that I think of it, I think I kind of drew from People of the City. That kind of loose language and grittiness of people in Lagos. And yeah, so I really, really do love Cyprian Quincy, and I love that book in particular. So Long a Letter, Mariama Ba. This is another text. She's a Senegalese author. I think she's passed away now, but this is another book that I read that in school that impacted me. I loved it. I mean, oh my God. I can't remember if we did read it in school. I don't remember, but I think maybe my sister read it in school, and then I read it, and I just loved it so much. It's just, the whole book is brilliant. It's essentially a letter from a woman chronicling her marriage and how she fell in love with her husband, her marriage, and he's taken a second wife, and up until his death. And she's writing to her sister, and the whole book is a letter. And this definitely inspired me when I was writing because my novel was supposed to be one of my stories in my book. I believe it's called The Father, or The Father. The Father? Yeah, I think The Father. So, yeah, that is a letter between two sisters. So I was greatly inspired, heavily inspired by Miss Mariam Abba. Oh, oh my God, it's so good. If you haven't read it, you have to read it now. It's such a simple book, but such a good book. Like literally, this book is 89 pages. 89 pages. You can read it. You can read this book in an hour. It's that good. Go get it. Song of Lawino by Okot Biptek. Listen, I cannot say, well, this book actually has two, Song of Lawino and Song of Oko. It's another kind of, not a letter, but ode or whatever. And this is just about a wife who is just in love with her husband, and he doesn't find her attractive anymore because she is the woman he married, who is an African ideal, was beautiful with her tribal marks and her figure and whatever and her dark skin, and uneducated was how he married her. But now he's gotten westernized and he's ashamed of her and seeking something else. And then yeah, it's just heartbreaking and yet so beautiful, and it's written in stanzas like poetry. And again, I was inspired. The Jewel, how I wrote The Jewel, was heavily inspired by Song of Lawino. And this book also has his response, the response of the husband, Song of Akol. So good. Let me tell you, you have to read this book. And I'd like to know in the comments, do you guys feel me? Do you love these books too? I'd really like to meet kindred spirits. Next. Oh, I can't believe I've come to the end of my African pod. Oh, anyway. Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. I mean, y'all know her. I can't say enough about her. This is the first book, Purple Hibiscus. Adore. I love everything about her. I was not blown away by this book, but I mention it because to me it was the first of its kind in our generation. Yeah, she's my generation. I think I'm 2 or 3 years older than her. But yeah, so yeah, first of its kind. And so I respected that. I thought it wasn't bad. Well written, certainly well edited. And I could see it, yeah. I was like, yeah. But what I respected even more was that she was the first to do it. So I just admire people who are trendsetters and who open the door for other people. So I was like, wow, this is amazing. And I had followed her progress from when she was a student in Hopkins, when she was just writing these little essays, and I found her on the internet. And yeah, so I followed her career with great interest. So Purple Hibiscus, great one for anyone of our generation. But Half of a Yellow Sun, aka the Holy Grail. Love this book. As in, I devoured this book. I think I read it in 2 days. And this was like working days. Like I would just read it on the train to work, on the way to work, and coming back, and then stay up. I think I may have stayed up a night or two, but I finished this book in 2 days. So good. I don't need to hype it up. Y'all probably know about this book, but it's a book that I could read again and again. I just marveled at. I was like, how could this young lady, younger than me, just delve into the mind and the times of the Civil War. I mean, the Biafran War was something, I'm Igbo, but something my parents never spoke about. And I wasn't sure. I always thought it was because they were not in the country when the war happened. But I figure it was just too painful to talk about. And and I just never asked, because I didn't grow up in Igbo land, and if it wasn't mentioned, I just didn't feel it was important. So I was like, wow. So I just thought that was such a great achievement for this young lady to be able to tell this story so well, that should have been told by her father's peers, but was told by her. So I was like, now this is a good writer, and this is a great book. You don't even have to be Nigerian or Igbo to get it. This is a wonderful, wonderful book. So kudos to Chimamanda. Okay. Now, the American Pile, or the, yeah, mostly American. So this book, A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. Let me tell you, as a kid, right? Um, yeah, when I say kid, I must have been 9, 8. I started reading really early, and I started reading things that were a little advanced. But this book is a coming of age story. Americans will be very familiar with this. A coming of age story. To be honest, I'd never even realized the author. Betty Smith is the author. Coming of age story about a young girl in the turn of the century. They are Irish, and it's just, and they're living in the slums of Brooklyn with the Jewish, the Polish, I mean, it's just so great. And I, yeah, it it's just it takes me to a place of nostalgia, and it's just so well written and so well told, and I just feel like any immigrant or anyone really can identify, anyone whose parents are immigrants or were immigrants can really identify with this book. It's so well written. I'll read this book. How I know I like a book is if I reread it. I usually don't reread books. I may like it, but I won't revisit it. But this I can read every day. I mean, it's just so good. And it's a long read too, and it follows the girls through Francie, through childhood and her marriages, and yeah, it's so good. Uh, Valley of the Dolls. Why is this here? Valley of the Dolls. Well, it's here because there's another book that we had growing up. My dad had a lot of books on every different subject. This was the first book that I read, or one of the first books I read that I remember feeling, ooh, should I be reading this? I mean, then parents didn't really care about what kids read. I mean, we read whatever. They didn't really police our content or whatever. But yeah, I don't know if I should have been reading it when I was reading this, but I know I was reading it maybe 10, 11. It's by Jacqueline Suzanne, and about these three friends who climb to the height of stardom and drugs and sex and all kinds of things and show business. And yeah, I didn't really get it. I mean, I got it on a superficial level when I read it, and something about it just stuck with me. I think it was the pain of each of the different characters, the pain that was so different. Each of them had different pain, but I don't know, I just connected with it. I think I've always had a thing for women and women's pain and their struggle and the ability to tell the story. I think Jacqueline Suzanne did that so very well, so I bought it, of course. Because I like to read books I read in my childhood and to see if I still find it interesting. And yes, I did. Joy Luck Club. Yeah, this is a DVD. I'm sorry. I'm so mad I couldn't find my Joy Luck Club book. It's one of those books, like, this house is full of books. Some books I keep downstairs, but some, I don't, because I don't want people to borrow it, so I keep them in my room. This, I moved it upstairs because I found it downstairs, and I was like, so I moved it upstairs, and now I can't find it. So I just brought the DVD. You know someone really likes a book when they not only buy the book, but buy the DVD. Joy Luck Club, loved it. Another immigrant story, kind of. I mean, well, the mothers came from, was it China? Yeah, China. And that's by Amy Tan. And it's so good. And it's told through the eyes of both the mothers and these three daughters who are cousins, and just their relationships with the men they marry, and compared to the mother's relationship. I mean, it's just so good. And it's the mother, daughter, and sister, cousin, whatever dynamic that I love so much. Love Amy Tan. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of the Joy Luck Club. I will watch the movie whenever it comes up on too. Sorry. Now, I'm kind of maybe even saving the best for last, but yeah, okay. Oh, no, let me do these ones first. Then I can't say enough. I mean, I have to mention Chicklet, Bridget Jones' Diary. I mean, I must, because I must like her. I do, because it was the first kind of book I read that wasn't heavy, but I didn't find cheesy like Barbara Cartland or whatever. I mean, it made me laugh out loud. It was so funny, and I have all her books, watch the movies, love it. Brilliant. I think she's like the head of Chicklet, the president of Chicklet. So, Helen Fielding, the Bridget Jones Diary series, love it. And also, Sophie Kinsella, Shopaholic. I have all her books in hardback. That's another way you know when someone likes an author. When you buy, because hardback is not cheap, okay? I have them all 5 of them, you know. Yeah, these I can let you borrow. But yes, I do. I think she's hilarious. I mean, she just keeps it simple. It's not rocket science. It's not Dante's Inferno. It is just what it is, and it's great. I like it. Getting into some of my heavies. Maya Angelou, adore. Adore, adore, adore. I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. Love it. Love it, love it, love it. This is actually her autobiography. And it's just so good. It's really good to know where the great Maya Angelou came from. May her soul rest in peace. And yeah, it's really good. And she just has such a way with words that, you know, you can just tell she's just born to be a poet. I have a lot of admiration for her. Now, To Kill a Mockingbird. I don't know where my copy is. I'm sorry. And I wasn't going to talk about this because of all the thing with Harper Lee and, you know, her new book coming out. I felt it might feel a little contrived because everyone's going to say, oh, I love Mockingbird. But if you know me, my siblings can attest to this, my favorite book. I remember my sister would do this thing. She'd be like, I'm bored, Chinwe. You know, she'd be like, go pick me out a book. And I used to feel so proud because she trusted my taste or whatever. Invariably, I would pick out 3. But invariably, one of them would always be To Kill a Mockingbird. And I'm not sure if she ever read it. I mean, she was like, oh, this book. She's like, I don't see what you see in this book. I mean, but I just always loved it. I always loved it. And I mean, it's one of my favorite books. It's one of the books I can read over and over and over. And I can't believe I can't find my copy right now. But yeah. Lee Harper, right? Or is it Harper Lee? Whatever. To Kill a Mockingbird. Love that book. Love all the characters. Atticus, man crush every day. Atticus, the dad. Scout, adore. Boo, empathize with. Love them all. Just so well written. So well written. And coming to my boo, Alice Walker, The Color Purple, baby. You cannot tell me anything. I first read this as a young girl. Maybe not so. Maybe, yeah, young girl. I was in high school. And my friend's father was a professor of literature. And he had all these books, all these Alice Walker. I don't think we had them at home. No, we didn't. Because I remember borrowing them all. And I had spent the night or some days in her house, and I just went through all of them. I went through Alice Walker. I went through, what's her name? Terry McMillan. I went through all, devoured. I was like, wow, this was such a departure of what I'd read. I mean, I'd read a lot of European and American authors, but of course, nothing as heavy. I'd never read anything as heavy as this. I was like, wait, what? What are they talking about? This was so far removed from my universe, and then the language, I was like, wow, so they can speak. This isn't proper English because we were brought up, you know, not to speak vernacular or pidgin or whatever. I was like, she's writing in slang. I was like, this was just the epitome of real. I was like, yes, this is. I like her. I just said I like her. So this book, love it. Whenever the movie's on, I watch it. I don't care. I think I actually have the movie somewhere. Saw it on Broadway. Great. Okay. And back to my Kindle. Sorry, the book, one of my favorite books I do not have on, it hasn't downloaded to my Kindle, but I have it on my Kindle app. And I don't know if you can see it because, yeah, that's Alice Walker, Possessing the Secret of Joy. Now, I save this for last because let me tell you what Miss Walker did for me with this book. Oh, let me tell you a bit about the book in case you don't know. Possessing the Secret of Joy is about this African woman called Tashi. We first meet her and she is in her therapist's office, and she has severe issues, and these are all caused by female genital mutilation that she went through. She was circumcised as a young girl. So this has led to a whole myriad of problems and issues and murder. And it's just, I won't spoil it for you, but you need to read it. It's heavy. It's heavy, but it's so good. But anyway, what Possessing the Secret of Joy did for me is that it taught me that anyone can write anything. Now, I'm not saying don't do your research and just plunge in there, but I'm saying be audacious. Dare to write. Like, I could dare to write. I mean, at first, when I was a little girl, I used to write little things, and I wrote what I knew, like what I'd read, what I'd seen written. I read a lot of Harlequins and Mills and Boones and Hardly Chases and Nick Carters and all that, all my brother's stuff and my sister's stuff. And so I would write like them. And then later there was a kind of movement as I grew older, like with Chimamanda and all these people, as in, oh, you should write what you know. You should write for people like you. And I agree with that too. It's good for little girls and even grown women to see ourselves represented in literature. I'm for that. But I also believe that you can write about things that people think don't necessarily represent you. You can write science fiction. You can write about an astronaut, even though no Nigerian has been to the moon. I mean, you can write about stuff like that. As far as your imagination is big enough to write a good book, you can do that. And Alice Walker did that for me with this book, Possessing the Secret of Joy. She's not African. She's never been circumcised. I know she's been to the continent. And yeah, but still, some would say, how dare she? And some did say, how dare she write about female genital mutilation? She doesn't know. How dare she suppose? But me, I applaud her for daring. And I'm not saying I agree that female circumcision is necessarily produces mental illness. I mean, and that's not to say I agree with female circumcision. I don't. But I'm just saying that to dare to write and to offer your own story, or to tell the story of someone real or fiction, I think that's very brave. And then to do it well, I say bravo. So for me, she gave me freedom and gave a whole host of other people freedom to write when people say write your truth, I think that's the same thing. Write what you think. Yeah, write what you think. Why not? Because why not? Because sometimes even the people that own the subject matter don't write about it. So then what? If we just wait for someone who's comfortable enough or brave enough or skilled enough to write about it, and what if that never happens? That story never gets told. And I also feel there are like different stories. There can be different stories with the same theme. We don't all have to have the same outcome. Someone else can very well write a story about the Biafran War from the Hausa man's perspective or Yoruba person's perspective, even from the Igbo perspective. I'm just saying, don't be afraid because someone else has gone there. Don't say, oh, I can't do it anymore. Chimamanda's done it, or Sisi Adetula's written about it. I can't. People will say, no. That in itself is being disingenuous. I'm not saying write just to write, but I'm saying if you think you have a story, a good story to tell, I think you should tell it. So, there you go. Books I love. There you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video. I certainly enjoyed making it. So remember, reviews on Amazon to enter. First draw, I will go through the reviews on Amazon. So first draw will be February 28th or so. Next draw will be March 30th or so. And that's it. Okay. All right. Like, comment, subscribe. I would love to have you. Love to continue this conversation on Facebook. Facebook.com/storysshewrote, one word. Okay? And what else do I want to say? I want to say something. Oh, so yes. So if we get up to 30 reviews on Amazon, or 300 likes on my Facebook page, or 30 likes on my YouTube channel, I will reveal an excerpt from my new book. This is actually a novel coming up. So if you want to hear more, if you want to be one of the first people to see an excerpt from my new book coming out later this year, I'd get on it. Thank you. Happy Valentine's Day. Ciao.